Alright, today we're going to take a look at the uPVC doors and how to make adjustments on them. First thing we always want to do with any door is make sure that when you close it, you don't have any extra play. If you do, you need to take care of that first. In this case, the way you do that is with a 3mm Allen wrench. You can come right over here and you can adjust where your latch hits by pulling it in or out with these screws here. You can adjust the top and the bottom. So once you have it set into position you like, you can then try that out. I think that probably good right about there for our case. It's nice and snug. There's no play in there. So now we can move to the next step. So first let's talk about the lateral movement. That can be done on these hinges by removing these little caps here. You'll see it says roto. You usually just get some sort of sharp thing in there and kind of wedge that out. And then what we can do is, in this case, you can see that if you look here, down here, you can see where this hinge actually has a small gap between the sash and the hinge right here. And if you look up to the next one up, you can see we are tight to the hinge and the sash. There's no space. We need to increase a little space by moving our door towards the strike. So if you look down here between the hinge and the sash, you'll see that there's going to be a gap that starts to grow as I adjust this 4mm Allen wrench. And as that gap increases, what you're doing is you're pushing the door towards the strike side, which in this case is exactly the adjustment we need because we have a little bit of air leakage over there. So move this guy over, let's give that some turns. In an ideal situation, you'd want your door hinges to all have the same kind of reveal. So whatever gap you've got here is probably what you're going to want down here and then want down there. If for some reason your door doesn't align, then what you want to do is make sure that you have the distance between the two hinges, the top and the bottom. The middle one should be half that distance. So if you have some sort of askewed door, at least it's an even askewness. Oh, now we have a little bit of dragging happening at the very bottom. So now what we want to do is lift the door up. To lift the door up, each hinge has at the bottom of it a 6mm Allen that can adjust the screw. And as we turn this screw, you're going to see the distance right here in the hinges increase or decrease depending on what you're doing. In this case, we're going to increase the distance to make our sash go up. Whatever you're doing to the one, you should ideally kind of even out with the other ones. Door is no longer hitting anything. So now we want to check and make sure that our locking system is working correctly. One turn is locked. 2 turns is where we get our compression. I'm not feeling any compression right now. So if we take a 3mm Allen wrench, then we're going to adjust our locking receivers up here. So if you can see in here, the receivers, they can move towards the interior or towards the exterior. We'll go ahead and put this in here and just move it back and forth a little bit for you to see. If you move it towards the exterior with an in-swing door, it's actually going to make more compression against this outer seal, because as the hook engages with it, it's going to be pushing it towards the exterior. So we're going to give it a little bit of a push to the exterior. And then we're going to come in here and try to lock this door. We'll do these one at a time, so that way if we do have a problem, we'll know which one it is. With one finger, I keep it on the sash and one on the frame so you can feel any compression. So I go 1 turn, 1.5, 2. It's still not giving me a whole lot of compression. I'm going to make it go ahead and adjust a little bit further out. There's 1, 1.5, 2. I definitely feel the compression now, but it's not overly resistant here. So now I'm going to give it a little bit at the bottom. There's 1, 2, oh! And that is definitely pulling in. It actually might be a little bit too much compression, so I need to undo a little bit of the action that I just put on it. So I'll bring it back towards the interior, just a slight little bit. And that ought to do it. So there's 1, 1.5. I can feel the compression, but it's not so much compression that it's difficult to operate. And now we have a well-adjusted uPVC door.